We are a family dairy that started in 2004. At that time, Evan was just a few months old. So we are going to be celebrating the 17th anniversary of Synergy Dairy here this week. And on our team at the dairy, we have 10 non-family employees that are a part of our team. And Jen here is one of them. And then we also have 6 members of our family that help on the dairy every day. And so that would be my husband, Jay, and myself. And my dad, Gary, is still helping out on the farm. And then we have 3 sons. Mason is behind the camera today. Our son Carter is pretty camera shy, and he's actually at work right now anyway. And then Farmer Evan, which some of you have gotten to see. So just a little bit about our story. We milk 575 cows here at Synergy Dairy. And we have mostly Holsteins, but you can see Dorito here is a black and white Holstein, and she would look like the majority of the herd as far as her coloring. Charlemagne is a red and white Holstein, so also a lot of the same characteristics as the black and white Holsteins, but just with the red color. And then Evan is holding his favorite breed. Saruji is a Jersey, and we have just a few of those, but all of those are Evan's cows, and we actually had a new one born about 2 hours ago, which you're going to get to meet in a little while, so that's pretty exciting. A couple things that are really important to us here at Synergy Dairy is if you think about 575 cows and all of the heifers that we raise and all of the calves, our entire herd altogether is a little less than 1,000 animals. And those animals produce a lot of manure throughout the year. So being really efficient and using all of our resources to the best advantage we can is really important to us. So one thing that we just finished up, and we do this in the spring and in the fall, we run about 500, or we own about 550 acres of land. So we actually apply that manure to our own land. It makes wonderful organic fertilizer that helps us to grow plentiful crops through the summer that are going to feed the herd throughout next year. One other thing, or one other way that we try to be really efficient and use nutrients wisely is through our genetics. Actually, is something you wouldn't normally think about, but all of the cows that produce milk here, all the milk that's produced on the dairy actually gets made into cheese once it leaves the farm. And so because of it being made into cheese, every pound of cheese, every pound of milk, the higher the fat and protein percent in that milk, the more cheese that will result from that pound of milk. So we can maximize the amount of fat and protein that are in the milk that our cows are producing through genetics. So that's another way that we try to be as efficient and as sustainable to the environment as we can. So Mason's just going to turn so you can get some different camera angles here of what the dairy looks like. And the barn that you're looking at right now is one of the barns that houses our milking cows. And then as he's continuing to turn, we're going to now looking at the heifer barn. As he continues to turn just a little bit farther, we are actually now looking at our other barn for lactating cows. And we like to refer to this as Cowtown. So we're going to open the big door here and take you inside for an up close and personal tour of the barn. So as we enter Cowtown here, there's probably a couple of things that you notice right away. And one is that the cows are all inside, and they do stay inside of a barn year round. There's a couple reasons for that. And one is that they have wonderful climate control inside the barn here. So they get a lot of protection from the elements, and in the winter when it's cold, they're nice and toasty warm in here. And then you can see that the upper part of the barn is open right now, but those are actually curtains on the side of the barn. So when it's cold in winter, they close, and when it's hot in the summer, they open all the way up. And then down on the far end of the barn, which may be hard to see right now, but there are an entire wall of fans down there. So they pull air through this barn and keep it nice and cool in the summertime. So the cows have a really nice, comfortable climate. The other thing that you may notice is the cows are loose, and within their pens, they can move around freely. And that's why this is called a freestall barn. So they can walk around. They do have an all-you-can-eat buffet in front of them 24 hours a day of their feed. They have a couple big water sources available to them 24 hours a day as well. And then if you want to focus right there, Mason, you can show them what their beds look like. So the cows actually each have their own bed, and those beds are filled with sand. So it's like they're laying on the beach. Cows produce milk almost exclusively while they're resting. So it's really advantageous for us to provide a really soft, comfortable surface for them to rest, so they can rest as much as they would like to. And then one other thing that we can just get a glimpse of here is that all of our pens have a brush in them. And you can see right down there that cow is getting a back rub from the brush. And so cows have to take their turns using that, but they are quite popular, and they can get a little massage and a little back scratch when they want to as well. And so if you look at the tag up at close and personal on this cow, this is Marriott. And this is one of our new moms, but you can see there that she does have her own unique number and name. All of our cows still have a name. And then kind of hiding behind that yellow tag is a blue and white tag. And that tag is a little bit like a Fitbit. If you have a Fitbit or you know what that is, that tag is a lot like a Fitbit. So it tracks for us how many steps she's taking every day, how active she is. And then it's also tracking, so cows are ruminants, right? They chew food and they swallow it, and then they regurgitate that food and they chew it again and then swallow it again. So that process is called rumination, and that tag actually tracks her rumination. These girls stay in their pens about 20 hours a day, and the other 4 hours, they make three trips to the milking parlor every day. And you're going to see just in a little bit how long that process takes. So every pen makes that trip at different times during the day, but we try to be really consistent with the exact time each pen goes each day, because cows love to be consistent. They love to have that same schedule every day. So they make that trip to the parlor 3 times a day. Our cows on average are producing about 11 gallons of milk per cow per day. And since our milk gets made into cheese, we thought it would be fun to do a little conversion on that. So our favorite frozen pizzas, our family's favorite, is a pizza called Latza Matza. And Latza Matza advertises that they have a half a pound of cheese on every pizza, which is probably one of the reasons we love them. But anyway, if we convert the average production of our cows into pizzas, they each produce enough cheese for about 20 pizzas per day. So I think that's a pretty cool statistic. So we have we talked a little bit about the rumination tags or the Fitbits, and we have a couple other technology things that help us to do our job here on the farm. And one of those, you can see off in the distance here a little bit. So this machine that's coming up toward us now actually will travel around this barn several times per day. And what it's doing is it's pushing the feed back into the cows so that they can reach it and continue to eat as much as they want to throughout the day. So it's called a robotic feed pusher, but we affectionately refer to him as Howie.
We are now in the milking parlor, and I'm just walking through here to show you the path that a cow would take as she enters the milking parlor. Our milking parlor, it's loud in here right now because we are washing the parlor in between milkings. So all of the equipment that milks the cows and the pipes that the milk travels through to be stored get washed. All right, and now we are ready to start milking, and the first few cows are entering the milking parlor. Our parlor is a double 8 parallel parlor, it's called, but basically what that means is that we can milk 16 cows at a time. You can see here, just watching the girls enter, that some of them are bosses and some of them are more timid. Right here, Albino is going to push her way right around one of the other cows. But for the most part, cows really enjoy the milking process. They like the activity of coming up to the milking parlor 3 times a day. We milk 3 times a day every day on our dairy, and each milking takes about 7 hours. So if you do some quick math, that means there's only 3 hours a day that we are not milking. And those 3 hours are used for washing and sanitizing all of the milking and milk storage equipment. All right, this is Arius, and Arius is going to show us the milking procedure on this first group of cows. We have a very specific procedure that we follow in the milking parlor because there's 2 reasons for that. One is that cows absolutely love consistency. They like things to be the same every single milking every day. They like to be fed at the same times. They like to rest at the same times. Cows are really creatures of habit, and they like a lot of consistency in their lives. Secondly, the reason we do these procedures the way we do is to maximize the cleanliness and the quality of the milk that we are producing. We take a lot of pride in producing a high quality product that consumers can have a lot of trust in. So maximizing the health of the cows and then the quality of the milk that they're producing is extremely important to us. So the first 2 things Arius is doing here with each cow is dipping them with a sanitizing solution to help clean those teats, and then he's stripping a few strips of milk out of each quarter, which you can see here. And there's 2 reasons that he is doing that. Number 1 is so that we can look at the milk and make sure that the milk looks normal and that the quality of the milk looks good. And secondly, it does help to stimulate the cow and let her know that it's time to let her milk down. So the next step in the procedure, you'll see on the next 2 cows, but we use individual cloth towels to then wipe and clean each cow to make sure the teats are perfectly clean before the milking unit is attached. This is a really, really critical step in the milking process. And then the milking unit is attached. All of our units have an automatic detacher, so basically the milking unit senses how much milk the cow is letting down, and then when we know that her milk flow is slowing down and is almost complete, the unit will detach on its own, and then we do go back through and apply a different sanitizing solution to the teats. Okay, now we're outside, and I just wanted to show you these big bulk tanks where we store the milk. So these tanks each hold 3,000 gallons, and right now we are filling both of these tanks once each day. And we happen to catch the milk hauler here. So this big tanker is here to pick up the milk, and he will pick up about 6,000 gallons of milk from Synergy Dairy each day. Feeding all of the cows, heifers, and calves at Synergy Dairy is a massive job every day. We're going to show you what the feeding process looks like for all of the cows at the dairy. The feed that you see in front of you right now, this massive pile, is a pile of corn silage. And so we grow the corn on our own acres, and then in the fall we harvest the corn, the whole corn plant, and make what we call corn silage. The machine that you see working right now is called a facer, and what it does is it just flakes off the edge of this pile every day so that each day the cows have a fresh feed that's coming off the pile. And you can see in the background there, that is the tractor with the TMR mixer, which stands for Total Mixed Ration. So each group of animals on the dairy has a specific nutritional profile that we need to meet. I am now on top of that pile that you just saw, just to give you an idea of how this all looks. Right next to me is a second pile because we need this much feed to feed the cows throughout the year. So we anticipate that this corn silage will last until December of this year. And what you're looking at now, maybe you might not be able to see really well, but that's a ration. So basically, a ration is a specific recipe for each group at the dairy. And we have 8 different rations that we mix every day. So right now, you can see the scale on the TMR mixer was at 5,400 pounds, and with a scoop of corn silage, it's at 5,800 pounds. And there is the inside of the TMR mixer. There are 2 huge screws inside of that mixer that mix and grind the feed. And basically what we're trying to do is provide a ration or a diet that gives the cows every single mouthful that they eat is the same, and every single mouthful is balanced for all of the nutrients that they need, including carbohydrates, proteins, fats, minerals, and vitamins. Eat fresh feed. Then the next thing we do is, once the mixing is done for the day and the feed is in the manger, we push the feed back up to them freshly several times a day as well.
All right, hello, I'm Farmer Evan, and right here behind me is all the maternity cows, or the cows that are having babies, or the ones right next to me that have already had their babies. So all these cows in this pen behind me you're gonna see are the ones that are gonna have babies in the next week or so. And these ones right here that you're looking at, or that you were just looking at, already had babies today. So that's 4 of them today already. And then if we pan over even more and we go across the barn, once these cows have been in here for a little bit and they're doing well and all that, and they're all good to go, then they get moved over there so they can go back into their normal life of going through the freestyle barn. And then right in here, in this room right here, is all the new babies that we're going to show you. So in here, all the new babies that have been born today. The one right there is he's pretty relaxed over here. She's just chilling right there. And then this is the one that was born about 2 hours ago. So she's fairly new yet. So it'll take her a little bit to get her bearings straight. And just like humans, it takes them a little bit to get going. But then they'll start standing a lot sooner than a human will. So cows are kind of like horses, how they just get going right away. And by the end of the day, this calf will be standing up and walking around the pen. All these will. After they're born, the mother will give them milk called colostrum. And then we give the calf the colostrum because without that, they're not immune to almost any sickness. So they can get sick and get sick really bad, really easily. So we need to give them their colostrum to make sure they stay nice and healthy.
I think we're learning that how important it is for us to share our stories and give you guys an opportunity to ask questions about where your food comes from and how it's produced. And so we've really enjoyed sharing that process. And I hope that in the future, we're able to continue to do that in many ways.